Hello everyone. In the last week or so, you might have heard some pretty bad news that we have lost another Blu-ray label. The UK label Network, who specialised in releasing classic British films and classic British television on Blu-ray and DVD, have suddenly just disappeared. They've gone under, and we weren't sure at first whether it was just their website was down. But then we got confirmation from people who are involved with the company. They said that unfortunately they've stopped trading. Now, before I go any further, I want to say that I feel really bad for the people that have been working at Network who have suddenly just lost their jobs, probably without any heads up. And that's a horrible position to be in. I fully understand that. Now, you might be listening to this thinking that, why should I care? I don't know about this label. I've never collected their kind of films. Well, because this affects the industry as a whole. And as unfortunate as this is, it is going to happen again to other smaller labels. It's the situation of the economy and the nature of physical media battling against streaming and digital, and also people just maybe losing interest in collecting films on physical media. So I don't want to speculate on why this has happened to Network at this particular time. It's just very unfortunate. And if you get the chance, it's definitely worth checking out some of the films that they released on Blu-ray and DVD. I know they're going to be quite hard to get hold of now because they are all technically out of print. I just picked up a few here just to show you some of the good ones that I've got. There's some classic British films from Basil Dearden and Brian Forbes, and there's some even lesser known Powell and Pressburger movies, so if you're a fan of them, it's worth checking out these films. The real hope is that some other label or some other company picks up the pieces of Network and rebuilds it, because all of their stuff will have to be liquidated now because they're not trading. So fingers crossed, it could happen. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But what does this mean for the industry and for other labels out there? And importantly, how can we help? Because the thing is, this kind of situation, say it's down to financial pressure and rising costs and things like that, it's not necessarily up to us as the customers to feel guilty when this kind of thing happens. Because if we were able to spend more money and buy more Blu-rays, then we would be doing that. But, things are very tight at the moment. So in terms of buying more, that's not really a thing we can do to help these labels out. So one of the things that I suggest we can do, and that I've been trying to do a bit recently, is try to get new people into this hobby. And I know it's a tall task because if you're like me, most of my friends and family have no interest in physical media. They got rid of their old DVDs ages ago. But what you can do is you can find certain films from great Blu-ray labels that aren't available on streaming and introduce these to the people in your lives and say how important it is that, you can get these films on disc and you can't get them on streaming. And this is in a time, by the way, when some of the streaming services are just eating themselves. They are losing subscribers. They're removing tons of content from their platforms in order to save costs. So this is a real time when actually we're seeing how important collecting these discs are and how good it is to just have these films at our fingertips at all times. What we're going to see more and more of going forward into the future is these labels that we love. We're going to see their tactics change because they are now in survival mode. You might think that a certain label is doing very well in terms of business, but even they will be finding, these times very hard. You've got to remember that they have rising costs due to inflation and other factors. But on the flip side, on the consumer side, we have all of our costs rising, so we're not able to spend as much, meaning that, their costs are going up and also their revenue is going down because of lack of demand. If we look in the last few years, we've seen Criterion focus more on these 4K upgrade titles and getting bigger films into the collection. And while I think it's a shame that that's taking away from some of the smaller gems that they could be releasing, if it's necessary for them to survive, then I'm all for it. And I'm still buying those big releases, by the way. Similarly, with a label like Eureka Entertainment here in the UK, over the last few years, we've seen a change of focus from their Masters of Cinema line, which was a classic world cinema line of films, much like Criterion. And they've changed their focus towards martial arts movies, genre movies. And this has been, from the outside looking in, it's been really fruitful for them because so many people now get excited for these. Films like this one, Magnificent Warriors, with Michelle Yeoh, classic Sammo Hung movies, Jackie Chan, etc. A lot of fans of Masters of Cinema were critical of this change when it started happening. And I was one of those people because I was not into martial arts movies at all. But because of this pivot, it's actually gotten me into those kind of movies. So basically what I'm saying here is if you see these labels that you like kind of changing their tactics and moving into something else that you're maybe not too familiar with or a bit unsure, it's worth taking a risk if you can afford it to buy one or two of these Blu-rays and see what it's all about. So yes, very sad news about Network. My heart goes out to all of the employees who are now going through a difficult time. And hopefully we can take this as a chance to reflect and be grateful of what we do have, because Network was one of those labels that I looked at and I thought they'd always be around. So it's a time to be grateful for what we've still got. And listen, the future is optimistic. I think that this is still the golden age of physical media. We still have so many great things being released. And yes, companies are going to go under, things are going to shrink, but I think in the end, physical media is going to survive. If you want to stick around on the channel, then just click the video that's on screen now. You can get some film recommendations from me. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.